I don't think they have the network now.
I was
So-
hoping they had it in the military side
And when they cut back,
or something.
they cut back some on the flow of oil. And Russia shows up with a shipload of oil on the East Coast within a week after that. So Mr. Putin continues to play.
If I could ask you about a few of your personal questions, sir. For yourself or people like you, the grit that you've had along your career, like attending a school, then make decisions to stick to military services, and people around my age who have attended military schools. Actually, the first time my father mentioned about sending me off to a cadet school, first thing my mom and I did was just started crying because we couldn't just sleep without each other. So, but I have stayed in touch with people who did and who have joined service. And now there are two groups of people I see around my age. The ones who do not see themselves continuing with Air Force, Army, Navy. They think that they have either separated or are thinking about separating. Actually, a good friend of mine is with the Navy. Is at, what do you call it? It's nearby. It's just outside of DC border, the headquarters for naval security, intelligence. Now I hear him thinking about separating within a year. And so what would you tell people or around my age to either, like, how do they make the decisions of either whether to separate or not, or continue with their services?
Paul, I don't know what the actual percentage is, but the people who go in because in my era you still had the draft, and that's what inspired people to volunteer to avoid being drafted. And they'd serve there 3 years and 4 years, and vast majority planned to leave. So the staying was more a surprise than not, even in my case. In the all-volunteer force, they're not inspired by anything else. In some cases, it's financial.
What if it's not?
I'm saying for their first enlisting.
Okay.
A substantial number of them, it is financial. It's a better opportunity than the jobs that are available to them with the level of skills that they have.
And that includes GI Bill incentives. If you want to get an education.
Now, what they will ultimately get the ability to pay for their education. The decision to stay or not stay is always there as you near the 4-year point, the 8-year point.
What had you stick around for so long and retiring as an admiral?
Getting to know the outside world. Having grown up in small towns in Texas.
Okay.
University of Austin was the largest city I had ever lived in. And suddenly over the next 4 years, the next 3 years, I had been all over the Far East, from Tokyo to Hong Kong, and I lived in Paris and lived in London. And it was getting firsthand. This is before you had planes to go off on if you went to Europe, you went by ship in the process. So it's a totally different world than the world that exists now, where people go on a 2-week trip by air, come back, they've seen all they want to see. They come back for all their conveniences. For me, it was a chance to live among, see, understand totally different cultures, climates, food, all the rest of it. It was not yet public service at that point. That came a little later in beginning to recognize contributing to something that I thought mattered in the process. So there's a transition in what motivates you along the way. And I would argue there is some tie to age and experience that fits into that process. You were the last one to enter a question.